Hello, this is old Mr. Kent of MrKent.com, and I didn't intend to show all this part of the video that's coming up, but it is a good example of how the two minis, the Mini 1 and the Mini 2, are deliberately made with low mass, so they're obviously affected more by a breeze than the heavier drones are. But one thing about the Mini is when it gets down close to the ground, or anything below 30 feet, they say, it starts using the sonar to maintain its altitude. And then when it's hovering, it uses a camera to keep track of what's on the ground and prevent moving away from it. But as soon as you start moving forward with it, you see the dust blowing there? As soon as you move forward, the camera relinquishes control to the pilot. So you can see as I'm trying to fly a straight line through here, just 2 feet above the ground, I'm having a rough time because the wind is swirling around the house, as you could see, and the drone is more apt to go with the wind than it is to go in a straight line. So I thought I'd show that because that's one of the things when you get close to the ground with the Mini, either Mini, whether it's a Mini 1 or the Mini 2, if you hover, then it maintains its location. But as soon as you start moving, it relinquishes that control to the pilot. So what I wanted to do with this video was show you what I did yesterday in the Arizona high temperatures. My wife had an appointment in the morning, so I couldn't get started early, so we got home at about 10 o'clock. I wanted to come out and dig the trench out underneath this fence. I did it last year, and then I hadn't done anything, and that trench fills up, and then the fence actually lays in the dirt, and only a strong person can move it, slide it in and out. And so my daughter-in-law and my granddaughter, they have horses and they want to take them through the fence and go for rides, and they have to close that when they're just out here grazing. So they were I saw my son, he was hurting from moving it, so I decided I'm going to go out and dig the trench underneath of it. And so that's what I did on this day. And it took me about 2 hours, and by about noon, I quit. And I was so happy that I could do some hard work around here, because last winter I was not in good physical condition. And so as you can see, I got the trench cleared out, and this is a video from earlier this year, and I want you to take a look at that fence because you can see closely that it is sitting on the dirt at one spot. It's quite easily to see. So here we go. We're going to come over there, and that's my grandson playing with his boat. And you can see that white stuff is even piled up against the fence, and that's the sand and the dirt that accumulates around here. So I wanted to make it easy for everybody, so I came out and I dug that trench. And now anybody who wants to open or close the gate can do it easily. And even an old guy like me, an old guy like me, I can, he's going to show us how easy it is. And so here he goes. One hand, look at this, one hand, don't trip. I said, don't trip. And he's using it one hand. If he can do it with one hand, at 79 years old, my daughter-in-law and my granddaughter, they can close it easily when they want to let the horses roam around in the front yard. Yes, I'm proud of you. All right, now let's get on with the video. One of the stories that I haven't told in my flying experience is when I was working for the boarding school near Othello, Washington. I had my plane at the base, which was on top of a hill, which had been a radar base early back in the 50s through the 70s. And so this lady wanted me to take her children for a ride, and so we took off. And then this is a picture of when we landed at the airstrip. And you can see the ruts in the dirt. My right brake failed, and as I remember, it was because it was low on brake fluid. And this is the little airstrip where we landed. It's near Basin City, and if you come down to the where we touched down, you can see that there's a canal on the right and the dirt on the left. And if the canal, if the left brake would have failed, we would have turned right and probably end up in the canal and ruined my plane. So there's those ruts again, so you can see how we actually came to a stop. So that's an experience that I wanted to share. And by the way, there's my plane sitting on top of the hill, and I was actually blessed to be able to make my own airstrip, or construct it, I guess you'd say. And there I am. That's my first takeoff from the airstrip I was able to complete up there. So, and one other thing, they had over 100 boys, and then we were up there for, I think, 3 years. And one spring, everybody got interested in flying kites because there was a nice breeze at the top of that hill. And so I think about a dozen of the boys would fly their kites. And one of them suggested that I use my plane to try to knock down the kites. So I took them up on it. And what I would do is I would... They would get their kites up, and then I would come around and I would aim at one, and I had to be careful because I didn't want to. If you run into a kite, it'll plug up the air intake to the motor. So what I had to do was make sure if I was going to hit a kite string, to hit it with the wing. And so I tried and tried, but as I would come in, they would reel those things in so fast I couldn't believe it. And I only get so low because there was trees up there, as you could see in that other picture. So anyway, I was actually able to ruin one boy's kite. The rest of the time, and all the times I tried, they would reel it down as soon as they saw I was aiming at their kite. So anyway, that was an experience. I enjoyed working up there, but it was, well, I won't go into the details, but the county finally closed them down, and because they were not obeying all the rules, and you got to obey the rules. So anyway, that was a flying experience. And then why don't I close? I've got a poem that I'll share with you. My wife's father passed away in 1988. And he was truly a wonderful family man. And so I had to write a poem in memory of him. So this is the poem. It's called Daddy's Toolbox. Daddy's toolbox sits alone. His tools remain, but Daddy's gone. Seems it was just short hours ago he pulled them from that box, we know. Its corners dented, its handle broke. Through use, it's lost its painted cloak. It was the first thing that he headed to whene'er there was a job to do, and the last thing that he'd put away as he finished fixing one more day. It carried things from a hardware store, some things his daddy had used before, many things we all possess, a small collection more or less. I can see that toolbox at his side as beneath the car he'd slide, or rising forth with groans of pain from freeing up a stubborn drain. It was always there, and so was he, fixin' for his family. Now Daddy's toolbox sits alone. The tools remain, and Daddy's gone. But is he really? Look and see. Those tools declare his legacy. A loosened window, a cupboard door, a chimney pipe, a linoleum floor, a mended step, a painted chair. He's still around us, everywhere. Well, I want to thank you for watching my videos, and God bless.